Hey everybody, it's Kelly Cooper and welcome to another live Q&A video. Today's question is kind of like not one specific question, but a bunch of people asked me questions that basically boil down to their main issue being, how do I stop caring what other people think about me? And I like this question because this is a really good example of like an energetic issue that we have to contend with in the reality of manifesting. And you start to see that a lot of your energetic issues go beyond just simply whether you just believe in the law of attraction or not, or whether you're aligned with what you want, or whether you believe it's possible. We kind of have some other stuff going on in our energy. So for a conscious creator and personal growth in general, this is something that's good to give some attention to because it can really hold us back. But from an energetic perspective, really worrying about what people think about you can really shut energy down in a lot of different ways. One of the biggest ways it shuts it down is it's hard to attract what you really want when you can't be who you really are. And it's hard to be who you really are when you care too much about what other people think about you. So the first thing I would say is, as a human being, you're probably never going to get to a point where you literally don't care. I guess it's possible. Maybe there are people out there that are like that. I know I haven't gotten there yet, but I've made a lot of strides. To me, my journey got a lot easier when I accepted my human elements, not fighting for them. You can't fight for your human bullshit, but you have to accept it might be there, and then it just becomes less dominant and it doesn't rule everything like it might be ruling it now. So you might always care a little bit. That's okay. If you can deal with the discomfort of that, you'll be fine. You don't have to try to actually literally not care. But so the first thing you have to realize is, if someone says something about you, or they question your choices or your judgment or your path or your whatever, right? You have to understand that if you're having a negative reaction to it, they're not causing it. They're triggering something already within you. There's a part of you that maybe is agreeing with what they're saying. There's a part of you that thinks this bad thing they're saying about you might be true. There's a part of you that's also questioning your choices and your path and your judgment or your decisions. And they're hitting on that icky part of you, and we don't like it. So you have to realize the first thing is to not have this bother you as much is you have to take ownership of the fact that you have to admit that maybe there is a part of you that has this lack of clarity, that does maybe think these things about you are true too. This is very hard for us to do. We don't like doing this sort of stuff, and we try to avoid it at all costs. It's funny how we want to make all this change, but we'll do anything in our power to avoid dealing with our inner world and our shit, and we're always looking for a workaround, right? So you have to be willing to concede, oh yeah, this is only bothering me because there's a part of me that actually thinks this might be true. There's a part of me that actually lacks clarity about my choices, my path, my decisions, my whatever. And if you go within and you see why this bothers you, you can work through it, you get clarity, then this stuff won't bother you as much anymore. Because I'm sure you've all had the experience where someone has said something about you or they accused you of something and you just know it was so far off the mark, you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, like, yeah, okay, fuck off, right? You had no emotional reaction to it because you just knew it wasn't true. So when you're having the reaction, again, there's a part of you that's identifying with what this person is saying. This is why self-reflection, self-assessment, honesty about what's happening inside, this is why all of that is so important. That's why I talk about this so much, especially in terms of energetic transformation and the law of attraction and getting your stuff. Because all of this sort of energy, these things pose a problem. So if you are worried about what other people think about your choices, your career, your life path, your decisions, your lifestyle, whatever, there's a part of you lacking clarity. So you need to get clarity about why you're doing what you do, why you are the way you are, because ultimately, if you know what you're doing is right for you and you have that clarity, other people disagreeing and having a different opinion, it's not really going to bother you. But again, that can only come when you try to achieve that clarity within yourself. And achieving that clarity kind of means working through all the parts of you that don't have that clarity. And again, when you have that clarity about who you are and all that stuff, people criticizing you, it doesn't mean anything. My husband and I, we've made a lot of unconventional choices, and there have been times where people in our lives have had some very strong opinions about those choices, and they did not agree with them. They thought at certain points we should have been doing something else. I'm a human, whatever. I'm not 1,000% clear on everything I do. That shit bothers you. It doesn't feel good. But what helped me work through it was I have that clarity about who I am, what I want, the type of life I want, and why I make the choices I make. Is there still a little part of me that it would bother me? Yeah, of course. No one likes being disliked or thinking people don't agree with you or they're criticizing or judging you. Nobody likes that feeling. It kind of sucks, but it's unavoidable. But again, when you have that clarity, it's not going to bother you as much. If people say stuff about you and it bothers you, again, there's a part of you that agrees maybe you are like that. Are you really like that or are you not? Only you'll know by going within. And if you discover that there are things about yourself that maybe aren't the best version of you, you can work on changing them. But again, you have to own all of this and you have to go within and go within. You can't just make the goal strictly not caring about what anyone thinks, because as long as there's a part of you that's resonating with what these people are saying, it's going to bother you a lot. And the only way it's not going to bother you is getting that clarity, going within, making changes within yourself if you feel like that's part of the journey. The second thing you have to understand with this is everyone has such a unique filter through which they're viewing other people and the world, their religion, their childhood, their life experience, how they grew, all these different things, right? And all this unique stuff combines to make a very unique filter. Sometimes people are just going to think things about you that you're not going to like. It doesn't mean are they true or not true? Irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Most stuff isn't a matter of true or not true. It's a matter of opinion. It's subjective. It has no an inherent meaning. It doesn't mean anything. So you have to understand too, no matter how carefully you try to craft an image of yourself, no matter how carefully you explain your thoughts and your feelings and your decisions and all of this stuff, no matter how all these things, at the end of the day, you have zero control over how any of this is received. No matter how amazing you are, there'll be people that think you're not so amazing. No matter how good of a space you're making your decisions from or how good your intentions are, not everyone's going to see that. So you have to understand this filter. Everyone has this extremely highly unique filter that is going to impact how they view everything, including you. And you can't do anything about it if it doesn't line up with your image of yourself. If it doesn't line up, they're not going to agree. They're not going to see things the way you see them. It doesn't matter. You can explain yourself. You can explain everything about you from, till, your lips go numb. And none of it would make a difference. So that's another thing, too, you have to understand. People are just going to perceive things in the way they're going to perceive them. You're not always going to like those perceptions. It doesn't mean anything, though. Like me, what I do with my work, personal development especially, it's very personal. Everything I say is based on my own personal experience, my own filter, what's worked for me personally. Do you think every person that comes across my content likes it or agrees with what I say? No, of course not. That would be virtually impossible. Some people might not agree with my belief system. They don't believe in the law of attraction at all, so they think everything I say might be bullshit. They don't like that I curse. They don't like this thing. You know what I'm saying? They don't agree. They don't resonate. So that's another thing too. Again, there's this filter. Not everyone's going to agree, resonate, understand you, be in line with you, see things the way you see them. They're going to think things about you sometimes you're not going to like, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just an opinion. There's no objective fact to most of the feedback and criticism we get from people. When it's some sort of feedback or criticism that you can make use of and there's something there, you'll recognize it when you see it. But most of it is just people's subjective opinion, projecting their own shit. Nothing, it literally has nothing to do with you. So yeah, that's another thing too you have to think about is zero control over other people's perceptions of you. You can work very hard to try to present a certain image of yourself. Again, you can try so hard to carefully explain your thoughts and your feelings so everyone understands where you're doesn't matter. That filter, you have no control over this highly individualized, unique filter through which everyone views the world. And a lot of times that filter is going to be very, very different from your filter, your experience, all of that. And they're just going to think things about you that they're just not going to agree with, based on, again, their religion, their childhood, their life experience, what they value, this thing, that thing, and it's not in line with you at all, and there's going to be a discord there. They're not going to agree like you. They're going to have their thoughts and opinions. They're going to have their judgments and their criticisms. So if you can get more comfortable with this very uncomfortable truth that you have zero control over how other people perceive you, you'll be much better off, because like I said, it'll still be uncomfortable to you, but this discomfort, it's not going to overwhelm you. You'll shake it off more easily when you have these encounters with people, when they say things that you maybe don't love so much. Self-knowledge, self-assessment, going within. Once you get that clarity about who you are and what you want out of life, and you know you're doing what's best for you, you start to realize other people who have no idea what's best for you, all their bullshit, they're criticizing you and judging you and questioning you. The more and more you're going to be like, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know me. What do they know? And again, it doesn't bother you as much. If people say stuff about you and it doesn't sit well, like aspects of your personality or your behavior, you got to sit with that shit a little bit. Are what they're saying, is there some truth to what they're saying? If there's a little bit of truth to it, is this something about yourself you want to work on changing, perhaps? Maybe. Or you're just like, yeah, this is how I am and I don't give a shit. Who cares? That's up to you. It's ultimately about doing what works for you and recognizing what you need to change within yourself, and what you just is like, yeah, who cares? Whatever, it's fine. Yeah, so you're probably never going to get to a point where you literally don't care what people think about you, but you can make great headway in not letting that part of you that cares dominate so much that you hold yourself back because you're always worried about what people think about you. You don't be who you are because you worry too much about what people think about you. You'll be able to do all that stuff, and there'll be that part of you that's uncomfortable with all of this, and it's going to sting when someone criticizes you or questions you. But if you can just make peace with that human aspect of you, it's really not that bad. And again, it'll still be there, but it's not going to hold you back the way it might be holding you back now. And from an energetic perspective, again, in particular, this is really something important to pay attention to, because like I said in the beginning, it's hard to attract what you truly want. What's the best representations of your core values and wants and